Okay, so if you are here, welcome. I am assuming that most of you who are going to be watching this are from my TikTok channel of the same name. And the reason why I'm about to do what I'm about to do here is because, well, other than the fact that what I'm about to talk about is a controversial subject, I don't want to cut it up into like several pieces and stuff like that. I just want to do one take and do it in a kind of a podcast kind of way. I've been kind of wanting to wait on it for a while because there's a certain style I want to do it, but I feel like I might as well just do it. Just do it, and if I really want to redo it later, I can redo it real later. Do it later. You get what I'm saying. Um, but also because I wouldn't even be allowed to talk about what I'm about to talk about on TikTok. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about why am I proud to be an American? Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I feel like up until recently, I'll just say recently, within probably a year, I'll put it that way, within a year, um, I feel like I've kind of taken what it means to be an American for granted. And I feel like a lot of people living here have done that. I feel like, though, there are a lot of people um, here in America, Americans, who are a lot worse than I am. They're taking this for granted a lot worse than I am. But as I said, I was, and I think that the reason why I realize that now is because uh, now I know people from various different countries. I know some people from China. I know some people from. Um, I know one person from Vietnam, and I know several from South Africa. And the story is generally the same. One is more worse than, in my opinion, than the other. You know, like when it comes down to freedoms, you can take a wild guess which one that one is, but um, I can clearly see what the contrast, the difference between there and here, and that things that you are allowed to do here, you're not allowed to do over there. And on top of that, just the financial things aspect of things is a lot better here than it is over there. And even the fact that like I am technically by American standards, I am technically poor. I'm not like living on the streets poor. I'm not like I only have, I've been really poor when I was a kid. I mean, there's one point the only thing I had to eat was a box of cake mix, and I've been there. I've been that poor before, but as of right now, I'm not quite that poor, but I'm still considered poor. But the things that I am allowed to do, and just other people in these countries are not. They don't have that. Um, Especially when it comes to the freedom of speech. That is a huge thing, especially in one particular country. Again, you can try to figure which one I'm talking about. And I know several people from that country. And the things I gather not just from them, but I gather from all the videos I've watched. Um, Again, there are things that the government is doing very wrong, very wrong. And the fact is, you can't complain about it. Now, imagine being in a very abusive relationship, because that's essentially what the people are in a relationship with their government. There's a lot of people that are in a bad relationship with their government that they can't complain about because the thing is, if they complain about, it, they get in trouble. Now, get this: there's a lot of wrong things going on, so they're getting in trouble. They're in trouble, but if they complain, they're still in trouble. So they lose either way. And imagine being in that mindset of knowing that there's things going wrong and you can't even complain about it to try to fix the solution, to fix the problem, because people on top, uh, you know, don't want to get their precious little egos hurt. That they're doing a bad job and then they need to do better and they need to correct stuff. Imagine that, right? Well, that's how it is. Yet here in America, you can complain all you want. I still think a lot of people do it the wrong way. There's a lot of things that I feel like that we lost over time, in terms of understanding the importance of things like freedom of speech and like voting. And I don't mean, 'cause this is a complicated situation. I am by far not saying that voting does anything, because I don't believe it does it. It did. I feel like at one point it did, but nowadays, no. In the very beginning, sure. But the concept was that you had a right, you as the people had a right to choose who you wanted to be in control of big important decisions. Because let's face it, not everybody is the leader type. I am. I'm all about the top. I'm all about being a leader. I'm all about understanding, like paying attention to big global kind of things. That's just how I've always been. But not everybody is. And so when you put somebody up on top, you're going to want to make sure that they're working for you. Because people got it twisted. They look at it as a pyramid, and they're always thinking that the ones on top are in power. But that's not what America was trying to convey. That's why they say power to the people, right? If you look into, like just how it all got started, it was very much about, you know, protecting the rights of people. And the idea was, if your government gets corrupt, call to arms. That's why we have guns too, right? Is to fight when people who are on top get corrupt. Either way, I mean, you can have your views on guns or whatever. That's not even the point of this video. But my point is, again, you have a lot more freedom, essentially. And this is where I talk about that double-edged sword here. On one side, as I mentioned already, I have a right to complain about the government. I have a right to express my opinion on things. I have take religion too. Like, everyone has a right to their own religion. I have a right to not be a part of that, to be a part of any religion. Either way, just rights, right? The flip side of that, the double-edged sword, is that there are people out there who are claiming things that I know are not true. And one of those things is that there are more than two genders. No. You really got to understand the difference between biological stuff. And look, I know some people say, well, genders mean sexuality. I don't give a shit, because it's not how we used the word when I was growing up, or when, or the generation before me was doing it. Like, no, when we said gender, like, what's your gender, we automatically knew male or female, right? So you can go ahead and try to change that all you want to, but the point I'm making is there's only male and female. That's a fact. Now, as far as sexuality goes, sure, you can make up whatever word you want to describe what like how your preferences are. There's some people who like the demisexual. There's an example of demisexual. They'll say, I'm demisexual. I only have attraction to people I have an emotional connection with. Okay, sure, you just found a word that you could just, shorten your meaning with, but either way, I don't give a shit. Like, you just say, well, I'm not going to be attracted to somebody unless I have an emotional connection with them. Okay, do we need the demisexual? Not necessarily, but fine. You understand? Like, so you can throw around all you want to about your different names for your sexuality, but bottom line here, there are only biologically male and female. Now, I have a right to say that, but on the flip side of that double-edged sword allows other people to disagree with me as well. And that's also why we have a lot of chaos going on right now, because the fact is, you're allowed to say anything, even if it's a lie, even if it's untrue, even if it's full of shit. People are allowed to say anything. And the difference, though, between me and these people is that I understand where this right comes from. And although I admitted that I in some ways kind of felt like I took it for granted, they are taking a lot more granted, in my opinion, than I am. Because there's people who even believe that, I'm not going to get too much into it, but they just don't understand. This is the biggest thing they don't understand, is that if our rules were different, if you were not allowed at all to express your feelings the way you do, they would never have the ability to say what they want to say. But how do they get these abilities? Well, they got them through mostly men. And this is by the way coming from somebody who has openly admitted that I don't usually get along with most men, but I'm going to call it out for what it is. Most of them were men, some were women, but mostly men who were fighting in military. Why? Why is this such a huge thing? Why are veterans such a huge thing? Why do veterans, no matter if they're male, female, whatever, I don't care what race you are, if you're fighting in the military, I usually have a special place for in my heart for those people because they're willing to go out there and not only defend my right to say those people are full of shit, but they're defending also the right of those other people to tell me I'm full of shit. And as I said, the difference here is that I understand that, and most of these people don't even care. In fact, I feel like those other people would want these soldiers, these people that are fighting for them to have that right gone. And that's where it gets tricky because, like I said, you have a lot of freedom, but with freedom comes the ability to say whatever you want, no matter how insane it is. And that's kind of where we're at now, in my opinion, in America. And this is also why, by the way, I don't know if this is also, by the way. I'm just saying, also, by the way, I'm not I'm not somebody who takes like sides. Like I'm not a leftist. I'm not a conservative. I'm kind of a mixture of both. I'm kind of a mixture of anything and everything because the moment you conform your complete beliefs and understandings on one side or the other, you do not see how life is much more complex than that. You don't see other points of view. See, the idea between conservatism, and this is what I feel like this is like the main problem we have in America right now, is there's the and I could speak astrology. I could use astrology as an example. I'm trying not to, but either way, if you're into astrology, you know that there's Saturn and Uranus. We're in the age of Aquarius or whatever. The conservative side is Saturn, and Uranus is the libertarian side, right? Okay, so we got conservative versus libertarian. They both are equally as important, but they need balance. That's the problem here. We need balance. We need things to stay the same. Because if we have too much liberation, if we're all about we can just do anything and everything, no fear or consequences at all, that's when you get chaos. But if we keep things too conservative, too much the same, then essentially like there could be something going on that's wrong. Like I said, remember I talked about the governments, right? If we kept everything conservative and these governments never get overthrown, they never change, they never, nothing happens, they stay the same, then you don't have any, you will never be liberated. See what I just did there? Liberation, liberals, right? You'll never be liberated from that confinement being conservative. Again, you got to look at both sides here, and you got to look at the context on why do you need liberation for, and why is it good sometimes to keep things conservative. You know, we can have all kinds of different arguments about whatever, but either way, my point is that's why we have chaos right now. It's because we don't have enough conservative ideas being played. We have a lot of libertarian ideas being thrown out there. It's changing, but also, again, it can be problematic. And believe me, I feel like in a lot of ways it's been problematic with the conservative ideas. Like people were too close-minded with certain things. Like, to give you an example, I've never had any problems with gays or lesbians. Never had a problem in my life. I've had a couple of gay friends myself. They knew I was straight, like they knew I wasn't into them or anything like that. But it just never bothered me that somebody was different than me. I think I pretty much said what I need to say. I think I pretty much explained it well enough that, it's all about the balance between conservatism and being, libertarianism. I can't even talk right now, and this is probably why later on I might redo this entire video. I just felt like I need to get this out of there. I don't know why. I just felt like I did. So I can probably go on forever. I tell you this much: if you come, regardless if you come from TikTok or whatever, can you please do me a favor? Can you please let me know you were here? Can you please do that? I did this stuff a long time ago. I was talking mostly about completely like spiritual stuff, but I don't know what that's like to have actual like comments. Like, like I'm not saying to receive it, just it would rarely happen. Now, I'm asking, you can do whatever you want, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to know that, to know who saw the video. Anywho, stay classy.